Who is the most attractive person in history? Oh no, this is how the Trojan War started. The face that launched 1,000 ships. The other way. Monica Bellucci, no question. Put her at any time in history and she's the most beautiful woman around. According to my grandma, it's me. I need 3 words to tear her argument apart. Your granny lied. Taking this question more literally, as in historical figures, apparently Cyrus the Great of Persia was incredibly attractive. He was used as the standard for male beauty in Persia, even long after his death. Take with a grain of salt seeing how people under his rule might be motivated to be like, yeah, Cyrus, you're totally hot. Suppose that goes for every ruler on this list. So I'm not nearly as into supernatural as I used to be, but I still think Jensen Ackles is one of the most attractive people I have ever seen. John Brower Minnock, at his peak, weighed around 1,400 pounds, making him the most attractive person according to the inverse square law of gravitation. However, if you're talking about being attractive to other people, in which case I would actually counter with Khalid bin Mohsen Shari, as his mass of 610 kilograms in 2013 means that his attractive force was applied to a population of 7.2 billion, whereas Minnock's mass of 635 kilograms in 1978 was only applied to a population of 4.3 billion. Also important to factor was that John Brower Minnock was in the United States, whereas Khalid bin Mohsen Shari was in Saudi Arabia, putting him much closer to the 2 largest population centers of the world. Narcissus. I mean, look, it's even a thing now. Charles II of Spain. The bigger the chin, the manlier the man. That's a very subjective question, but I think there is one person that everyone on Reddit can agree on, and that one person is, of course, OP's mom. Everyone on my hockey team agrees it's my mom too. Grace Kelly would meet almost any era's standard of beauty. Sarah Michelle Gellar in Cruel Intentions will always be my number 1. Brando, particularly in A Streetcar Named Desire. Yeah, young Marlon Brando is the most attractive person I've ever seen, and I'm a huge lesbian. He aged like milk, but in his youth he was a physical human perfection. Late 80s Machin Amick in Twin Peaks. In fact, that show is the peak of beauty in television for me. She was still smoking hot in The Return. She is so much better looking than everyone in the original cast. I decay how she wasn't the most famous person from that show. Keanu Reeves. There isn't a negative factor to him. Good looks, beard, amazing personality. He's true to himself, badass, takes care and quality into his work, rides a motorcycle, doesn't boast about his charity work for the fame of it. I mean, the list goes on forever. He is truly, purely breathtaking. Paul Newman, and those eyes. Agreed. On top of being an amazing actor and a good and decent man. As a straight male, my answer is Ewan McGregor. My go-to, who would you sleep with if you had to sleep with a guy, answer as well, although it's more like, had to, I'd volunteer. Otherwise straight, Jennifer Connelly. The person reading this, you're cute. Most likely, someone no one has ever seen or heard of. Not all well-known celebrities are attractive. 90s Jennifer Connelly is definitely near the top of the list. Yep, she was absolutely stunning in the early 90s. Though she's kinda hitting her second prime now, she's less beautiful but somehow hotter. Fred Rogers, just a beautiful, beautiful man. A young Mr. Rogers and Edward Norton kinda look alike. I'm thinking Princess Diana. People were instantly mesmerized by her tall, svelte figure, her beautiful blue eyes. People were obsessed with that woman. I feel weird about the fact that I found most of the people that have been listed to be unattractive or boring attractive. When someone's face is super symmetrical and is good looking, but there's nothing particularly unique about their face. PS1 Hagrid would smash though. Monica Bellucci, for sure. Monica Bellucci in Matrix Reloaded. Grace Kelly. I think you could make the argument that her dad, Jack Jelly Sr., is the most attractive man who ever lived. Greta Garbo. What? When drunk, one sees in other women, one sees in Garbo sober. Kenneth Tynom. Kate Beckinsale. Yeah, she was in Underworld, but even in Click, she was crazy good looking. From the days of I Dream of Jeannie to now, Barbara Eden has always been the most attractive in my opinion. Manny Jacinto. I was at that protest. Crazy how much attention these protests get on social media while very few people come in real life. TBF, it was raining the whole time. While introducing him, Jane Fonda said she enjoyed The Good Place, and that she, like many others, had a huge crush on him. You know how to whistle, don't you, Steve? Just put your lips together and blow. Lauren Bacall, in her own league. Probably Nefertiti, especially if you factor in that she lived before modern makeup, cosmetics, plastic surgery, and photo filters and edits. Audrey Hepburn. She was still very beautiful in her later years, and worked for a lot of humanitarian causes, UNICEF chief among them, and was awarded the Medal of Freedom in 2005. Morena Baccarin. I feel like she's the perfect new Helena Bonham Carter and Monica Bellucci. And for anyone who only remembers Helena from Fight Club and Harry Potter, I present to you glamorous Helena. She's like Keira Knightley with curves. Mask of Zorro, Catherine Zeta-Jones for me. I think the most beautiful person ever was Jean Tierney. But beauty and attractiveness are not always the same. Beauty is subjective, but attractiveness can be measured. Probably Cleopatra was one of the most attractive persons ever. Even if she was not very beautiful in most people's eyes, her attractiveness created history. I think Cleopatra VII's attractiveness had more so to do with her youth and power that she held. She was also ambitious, and used the fact that she was female and royalty and exotic to move up the ladder. Caesar got with her to essentially secure power and political backing of Egypt. Egypt was the breadbasket of Rome. Anthony might have actually been attracted to her, though. This is like a question, what does a woman want most? It gives King Arthur 1 year to come up with the answer. I nominate Guinevere for most attractive woman in this world. Paul Rudd, every time. They need to conduct experiments on him to discover why he does not age. Alcibiades. I think I spelled that right. He was an Athens steersman that got Athens to go to war with the people of Sicily. Even though it was a dumb plan, everyone went with it because he was hot. Rob Lowe, circa 1980s, will forever be my definition of perfection. 80s Rob Lowe kind of reminds me of Keanu Reeves and River Phoenix. He looks like the midpoint between the two. Impossible to answer. Beauty is in the eye of the beer holder. Wrong. We all have, as a society, agreed on some beauty canons, so there should be someone who can be considered pretty by almost everyone, even if not their type. Young Clint Eastwood. His son, Scott Eastwood, is also a looker. Selma Hayek aged like fine wine. She's always been a 10. She was at least an 11 in From Dusk Till Dawn. This is, of course, a subjective question, but I have always found Alicia Keys to have an absolutely perfect face. I just rewatched Smokin' Aces the other day. Alicia Keys is freaking stunning in that movie. Marissa Tomei in the early 2000s. Even her now, she was smoking in Homecoming. Paul Newman. I'm a straight dude, but put me in a room with young Paul Newman and stuff is gonna happen. I will tell you the same thing I told Redford. It ain't gonna happen. Young Stalin. Almost all the photos of Stalin you can find online are heavily edited. His face was actually highly pockmarked from childhood disease. Tom Hardy. I am a lesbian and he is honestly my male fantasy. Monica Bellucci. Seriously, that woman ages like expensive wine. Marissa Tomei ages very nicely too. Teddy Roosevelt. He was a true man among men. Absolute unit. Teddy Roosevelt. The man that makes all other men feel inadequate. 2019 Sofia Vergara is great, but you ever seen those young Sofia Vergara pics? It's weird how she looks both exactly the same and completely different at the same time. Time is crazy, man. Alison Brie during her community years. Incomparable. It's funny because in Glow, she's made to look normal or even unattractive.